Speaking of consistency, then, and G2, the whole topic of best of ones is the other kind of contentious issue at the moment that Fabian likes to bring up famously. You're talking about how G2 will win 10 out of 10 games, yet they're the ones to complain the most vocally about best of ones, but they're the ones in the end, in theory, by being more consistent team that benefit from that. Where do you guys stand on that?
I wouldn't say they're the most vocal about claiming best of ones, so I think that title belongs to C9.
There you go.
But I think that everyone's right. Like, BO1s are bad. But at the end of the day, if you play 14 BO1s and you're last or you're first, you deserve to be there, right? Because at the end of the day, it was 14 games. It's a lot of games. It's a big sample size, you know? And I don't think you could find anyone that would disagree that BO1s are bad. It's the agreed upon point. I think the bigger thing to talk about personally is draws. And if draws are okay, because there is more of a debate there to be had where some people disagree and some people agree with draws. Whereas everyone goes, BO1s are bad.
Fair point there. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think, like you said, everyone would prefer, more maps in a match and things like that. And it's just a case of there's obviously limitations that are a factor. But in the draws thing, it's a similar sort of situation. But assuming you couldn't go infinite overtime, what do you think would be an acceptable solution to draw?
I think the only acceptable solutions are infinite overtime, or as it is now. Because if you do overtime to a certain level, there's always going to be the coin flip bias. There always is. Like, imagine how many games have been won in the past over the coin flip bias. There's got to be at least several influential games that would have changed tournaments in the past, right?
What if it wasn't a coin flip and it was decided off of some other factor for sides? I don't know. Whoever bans first, map, seeding, any number of factors that could go into that.
Well, then it will go down to strategic map banning and stuff like that. But at the same day, someone's forced. It's out of someone's control because they don't get to choose who bans first. It's a coin flip or determined on previous results, stuff like that. I just personally feel like draws are fine. I know it's anticlimactic, and I know that some people go, I'd like to see more. I want to see who wins. But sometimes two teams play as well as each other. I think the way to avoid draws is to make games longer.
Meaning it goes to more rounds before it gets to a tie?
Yeah, exactly. It's like right now there's 10 rounds. Maybe if there was 16, there would be less draws. There'd be less room for... Because you only play 5 rounds in attack, 5 rounds in defense. Now, that sounds like a lot, 10 rounds. But you only go to the same site. Like, let's say you won every one of your defenses. You'd go to the same site twice in the entire time. Right? Because you got your main site, your second site, your off site, and you go main site, second site. So there's not really much adaptation you can do between those two, right? Whereas if it went to 8 rounds, you'd play each bomb site at least twice. You'd play one of them once again, twice again. Sorry, 2 of them. The first you'll play 3 times. So there's a lot more room for adaptation and change. So the attackers can go, well, they did this, we'll do this instead, so we can maybe get the win this time, for example.
And would you want that? So let's continue with that sort of 16 round hypothetically. Would you want that 8 attack, 8 defense, or would you want to go back to switching each time, or would you do 4 attack, 4 defense, 4 attack, 4 defense?
Well, when this first came out with the attack and then the defend all in a row, I was a little bit skeptical. I didn't know how it turned out, but I think everyone quite likes it now. It definitely is much better to. You don't have to swap gun every single round. For example, if you're playing an operator that needs to be there, like say Thermite, you can use Thermite's gun until you need to switch to someone else's. As well as the fact that it's just the issue before is that you'd lose in a round and then you go into a different attack. So you'd lose a defense when you go to attack. You might talk about the defense round about how you want to change that round the next time, but at the same time you're just clogging up comms for the attack round now. But you're talking about something that's in the past and you can't. It's not feasible for the next 3 minutes, and then you go back to it. And then by the time you've gone back to that, you're talking about the attack round and what went wrong. So it was kind of like hard to keep track of and change stuff. But when it's all in a row, you can go, we just lost that site. We can take it again right now. What do we want to change? You know what I mean? It's actually relevant for the next 3 minutes.
I guess then continuing on the topic of changes for the season, what do you guys think in terms of 6th pick? Is it something you guys use? Do you feel like, I mean, let's say theoretically it was a little bit shorter of a phase, because I know the length is obviously an obvious issue, but outside of that, like strategy wise, is it something that factors in your guys' game at all?
I'd say yes and no. I don't know how much of an impact it has. I know it can have an impact and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's only one operator. They can't change it that much. They're one operator, and a lot of the time it's very readable, right? Like, for example, if someone doesn't have an info operator, and they go, "Oh, well, they're going to swap to IQ," for example, it's sometimes you can read it. You know, if someone always plays a different operator, then chooses to another one. Like when it first came out, back before people used to ban Lion all the time, people would go, "Oh, Lacky, don't play Lion, play something else in 6th picture." And I'm like, "Why?" They know I'm going to play Lion because Lion's overpowered and we need to run him. And I'm our Lion main. They say, "Oh, they have a Lion. What's going to 6th picture to?" Well, it's going to be Lion. You know, it's very readable a lot of the time. So I don't know how much of an impact it has on like mid-round decisions and stuff like that.